Well, hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing amazing today. As always, there are going to be a couple seconds before we get started because people are rolling in. So that's one of the unique things was when you press launch, you can always see everybody in the waiting room, but then it takes a minute for everybody to kind of roll into the room and be admitted in accordance. So hope everybody had a great 4th. Hope everybody had a great little summer vacay time. I know I personally got to go to Lake Powell a couple weeks ago with my kids, and that was awesome. I also just went down to Mexico with my 20-year-old son and was able to celebrate his birthday down there with him as well too. So good little time away. I organized it so I didn't miss too much time. Maybe a Friday and a Monday here and there, and then another Friday. So I hope you guys have been having those liberties as well. I'm very thankful for that when I get to do that. And we have a great team here at Zoodealio that gets my back when I'm gone. So when I get away, hopefully I can actually have some time away. All right, guys. So guess what? I am, as usual, pretty pumped about what we have going on here today because it's just one of the cool things that we get to experience here at Zoodealio is really kind of being a part of what's coming down the pike. Not only from a data standpoint, but because we get the honor of working with so many of you real estate agents that are requesting offers all over the country, it gives us the ability to see the trends. And we have seen an absolute and utter spike in demand of not only requests, but actually homeowners that are plugging into the home report. Now, if you don't have that, you might be asking yourself, why is that important to you? Well, guess what? When I can see people that are starting to really pay attention to rent versus sell, or, hey, what's my cash offer, really plugging into their value, start looking at their interest rate, and really tinkering around with that home report, those are all indicators of them sellers getting itchy, right? And it really lines up with a lot of what we're going to be going over to today. So, with that said, as always, guys, thanks for joining me here. But yeah, let's dive in today. We don't really have time to go through a lot of the normal pleasantries, so we're going to just really cut right into it and get after. Hey, but as always, just a quick little housekeeping thing. Remember, if you're watching this live, you can comment in the chat. I will get on it. If we have time at the end, I'll pull you on live. If I'm going to be hitting a lot of things pretty quick today, so in the event that you do have a question, drop it in the chat. I'll circle back to it. If you're watching this as a recording, remember to like, subscribe, so you get notified every time we drop a new video. But also, you can put that question in the comments, and myself or my team will be able to get back to you on that. So thanks for tuning in, and let's roll. Okay, let me share my slides here. So this is what we're going to be talking about right now, right? The market is absolutely primed, and let me be honest here. I'm always an optimist, right? And I think that part of the reason why I'm an optimist is because I've been through effort, through dedication, through water finds a way through a rock type of mentality that I'm always an optimist, right? So I feel like right now with the most recent data, what's going on from an administrative standpoint, most of you guys know I'm a crypto guy, and it's certainly been popping off like crazy. There's just so many things that are going from a macroeconomic standpoint in our favor. And so one of the things I'm going to be talking about right now is actually inflation. So inflation came in, really, really low, right? It was 2 point something percent. And part of those of you that don't know, right, they will adjust interest rate up, right? The Fed. Which is basically what banks and prime and all those things are set at, that they can borrow money from the Federal Reserves, et cetera. Well, that's exactly what will set a lot of those interest rates. That has to do with the bond market and a couple of other things, but I'm not giving you guys a lesson on that right now. What I want to cut down to is really ultimately these core facts, that the interest rate is absolutely primed to be cut down, right? And even though we're sitting, in the sevens, right now, and as you can see, mortgage rates have been up. But when we look at what's going on right now, the reality of it is with inflation being down dramatically, right? A lot of the tariffs and those types of things have really settled in better than anticipated. The results on all of the moves have ultimately been better than anticipated. I mean, obviously the deals with China, et cetera, have all come through quicker. So, right, when we have all of these things that are pointing in our favor, well, it's very likely that, Mr. Powell is going to lower the interest rates. Now, granted, there's a lot of us I know that think that he should have lowered them last month, or even the month before, And, for the record, do I think that he's going to slash it by, 0.5% or something like that? Probably not. But I think that they're going to stair step it down as much as they possibly can, especially with as much pressure that's been going on from the executive Oval Office as possible. So why is this so important? Well, guess what the number one affordability factor is in most of these, right? It's price and rate, right? And they have to work together. And when price and rate is as high as it has been, of course, that creates a very unaffordable market. That creates a lot of squeamish sellers that they'll list their house because, the busyness trend of selling my house in 60 days or less has become the norm. And when that hasn't happened, sellers are bouncing out of the market, right? That's why you're seeing canceleds and expireds all over the country. I think you're seeing a ton more canceleds than you're seeing expireds. And that's because a lot of the sellers are getting, throwing their hands up, the heck with it, I can't get my price. If I can't get my price, I'm, not going to get rid of my golden handcuff interest rate to go buy a $200,000 more than my house now, and have a rate in the 7s, right? It just puts me in a place that I'm uncomfortable with that payment because I'm getting hit on both sides. And if I can't sell for that price to get the cash to put the money down or to buy down my rate, right? There's all kinds of variables in this that really I think is coming into this ultimately being a math problem, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, is that it's often a math problem, not a word problem. But for a lot of the sellers, it is a math problem. And that math problem is not going in their favor. It's everything's more expensive, and it's leading to conversations like, hey, honey, sorry, we're going to have to stay stuck here for another year or two until things, kind of shift around. So, again, what does all of this mean to you and your business? Well, this means with everything coming out the way that it is, right now is a time to start priming that pump. Right? The market is primed. There is a lot of people that have left. You get to be the activist that goes out there and really activates those sellers by informing them of this opportunity. Because when rates come tumbling down, right? And it may be, a rate cut 1 month, another rate cut the next month, another rate cut the next month. But these are all things that are going to be really, really going in your favor and ultimately giving you the key thing to start these conversations. So it's super important that you find yourself looking at these numbers, paying attention to what's going on, and then ultimately putting yourself in, home selling conversations. So, one of the reasons that or things I want to really focus on here is actually starting with sellers. So, of course, as agents, we have a couple of different categories of clients that we'll look at, right? You have sellers, buyers, investors, right? Which a lot of times are buyers and seller, can be buyer or seller. But what I want us to be looking at are really ultimately how do we identify that likely audience of people that are going to sell their house. Now, I want to give you guys a pro tip. Those of you that aren't aware, that people that sell their house 60 to 61, 62%, depending on any given year, are also going to buy a house the same time that they're going to sell a house. And so, and it could be within a few months, right? Sometimes they'll sell, they'll rent, they'll go live with the in-laws or what have you, mom, dad, for a month or two while they figure out where they're going to go because they want to free up their equity. Again, these are all things within the Zoodealio ecosystem that you guys can really provide solutions and really bring your unique value proposition to the marketplace. So, this again, through the home report and everything that I'm talking about is just, to me, an unfair advantage that you guys have if you plug into what I'm sharing with you today. So I'm going to give you some frameworks now that we kind of identified the landscape. I'm going to be really kind of tearing through, different pieces here of how we're going to identify some of these sellers' behavior, like we have in the headline here, why this is ultimately your window. But, again, sellers have been, sitting on that sideline. And this is, again, you have a key opportunity here to really kind of bring something unique to them, to reinvigorate them, to inspire them. And then we have to back these things up, guys, right? It's one thing to have a conversation. It's one thing for them to, kind of bend their ear a little bit and start to get plugged back in. But we have to deliver on these things, right? So as an FYI, I wanted to give you guys a key area that I would personally, if I was still practicing, be looking at. And it is 100% going to be a lot of those cancels. I'm going to be hitting those hard And not only that, I'm going to be looking at the the canceleds, and in my prime area, I'm going to be looking at seeing how pie in the sky their price was, if they were on point with their price, and there just wasn't the market activity, right? What were they doing? Why the house didn't sell? Why they didn't get the activity, right? So I'm going to try to go in, guns loaded, so to speak, there in that conversation, and I'm going to be doing that with some ammo, and then of course always being able to walk in with an offer in hand, guys. That's going to be one of the key components that's going to be so different for you. You don't have to talk to them about putting their house on the market to get it sold. We can skip that whole process and let's just go straight to sold, right? So these are amazing opportunities for you to say, hey, you guys are on the market. We can get your house sold, get you some of your cash up front, get you moved comfortably. You don't have to put your house on the market. You don't have to board the dog. You don't have to go hang out at the movie theater for 3 hours on a Sunday while I do an open house, right? These are all things that they get to skip because of the options that you're going to bring to them within Zoodealio. Okay, so again, that is a prime audience that you're going to want to be focusing on. Canceled, and then of course, if we can uncover some expireds. I know there was a lot of the 90-day, 60-day listing agreements out there. Again, I would make sure that you don't exclude those either. All right, cruising along here. So how do we put these things into an action plan, right? What do we need to do? I'm going to kind of take us through a live look. So I wanted to kind of burn through some of these slides because, as most of you guys know, I'm a pretty hands-on guy, and I want to give you a look behind the curtain to see what's going on so that you can ultimately plug these things into your business. And if for some reason you're not a part of the Zoodealio environment, and you want to find out more about this, I'm going to show you how you can plug in. But of course, you can go to Zoodealio.com, get yourself a demo, find out about SellerSource, find out about our home report, find out about our different cash offer options that we bring. And then, ultimately, I know a lot of people, as we've really been scaling up our ads across the country, are kind of discovering us almost through the homeowners side of things. But yes, do know that we broadcast ads and the unique cash offer options to homeowners, and then we work with you, the local real estate agent, to deliver that cash offer option and to ultimately resell that property after the property is acquired. It's an amazing opportunity, great leads, great opportunity, an entire ecosystem for you to be able to plug your business into. Okay, so we are going to be touching on the seller score. Right? I know that's something that we just unveiled, and we really have. I'm going to be sharing more about that with you. I know Noah stood in for me a couple weeks ago and went over that new feature for us. And then the next thing is going to be talking about what is the home report? Why is that so darn important? I'm going to give you guys a look through those particular pieces. The most important thing I want us to know as professionals in the industry, why this is such an amazing tool, is it's able to capture that homeowner's behavior. What are they plugging into? What are they checking out? And let's say a homeowner, is now seeing this and they're like, hey, is this spying on me? No, what this is it's allowing us as the service professionals to ultimately plug into what you're checking out so that we know better how to serve you. So that's where we really want to make sure that we have notifications and triggers and all these types of things that are going on in the back end that allow me as a professional to reach out to my client and give them better service, right? One of the best forms of service is anticipation. Right? Think about that when you're out at a restaurant, or somebody rolls by, hey, can I get you more of this? Or they don't even ask; it just shows up and it's delivered. That's always a really cool, component of service. And I want you guys to be able to think about that. Use that simple analogy that I just gave you, and how can you anticipate your clients' needs and show up delivering what they need before they even ask for it. And that's this opportunity. Okay, and then last thing, we'll wrap it all together with YQ4, real-time insights, and then the behaviors and how it all works together. Okay, so let's take a peek behind the curtain here. So why and what does all of this work? So what you're going to see here on the screen is just an example of some of the email marketing that they're going to get. So what I'm going to do is take you through a walkthrough of how all of this works. So you have an opportunity to identify an audience. Okay, you can reach out to them from that canceled type of lead source. So then from there, I'm going to call Mr. or Mrs. Seller and let them know, hey, the market is changing. We see that you left the market unsold. And I want to let you know about some different cash offer options I have for you. And I want to actually invite you to my home report that's not only going to give you your value, it's going to display these different cash offer options for you, and it's give you a bunch of other really cool tools that I thought that would be helpful. So I realize I'm calling you out of the blue, but I wanted to call, introduce myself, and then I'll let you know that I'm inviting you to this tool so that this market really shifts and we can get you into that new house that you were looking to get into before. Right now, I just gave you kind of like a super quick summary script conversation of what that would look like. But first things first, they're going to go into their actual, the email, right? So what I want to do real quick here is I want us to see, you kind of have like the history and longevity of time. So let's jump in here before we go back to what you guys see as an agent. So those of us that haven't seen it, I'm going to be super quick about this. Again, this is to be more of a more of an expert type training on how to do this. So if for some reason this home report is unfamiliar to you, please go to Zoodealio.com, reach out to the client success team, and they'll be able to give you a complete walkthrough what this is, how this works, how this can plug into your business, plug this into your clients, etc. So, okay, moving along here. The first thing I want us to see, right, is they're going to be able to not only see home facts, about their particular property. If they have multiple properties, they can always add in an additional property right here. Really cool feature. They can adjust their value, right? They can, pull in Z, the AI here that wants to talk to them and say, hey Z, what's my value like if I was to add on an additional bedroom? What's my Airbnb? All kinds of just really cool stuff that's right there at their fingertips for them to be able to pull in real-time questions, etc. Right, and of course Z will respond, give them that answer, and engage them. Okay. Now, again, like we talked about, they can calculate their home equity. What was from when they originated? What's their current balance? Again, just a great tool that does all of this here for them. It's going to now introduce them not only to their historical value, but what are the different cash offer options that their house ultimately qualifies for. It's now going to start giving them a peek behind the curtain. They get to really kind of look and see, ultimately, what is this offer? How does this break down? And then, of course, at the center of all of this, I want to really highlight is you, right? This is your branding, your name, your logo. Everything is centered around you. So again, really cool stuff for you guys to be able to connect into and ultimately put your business marketing on a massive scale and automate it, right? Okay, so then from there, they can plug in, see 1 year, 3 year, 5 year trends, right? These are all great things. I don't know about you guys, but I do this like on all my properties within here, right? I want to see what is the rental forecast that's going on, what's some of the Airbnb forecast that's going on, right? So then from there, they also have the ability to see if I'm thinking about renting my house or I want to sell my house, which one should I do? Okay. Now, why is all of this so, really amazing for us as agents? Let's get into that piece right now. So now, of course, as agents, it's amazing because I'm keeping my clients plugged in. I'm giving them a valuable tool that they're going to plug into every single month. So when I'm showing them their value, rental projections, trends about their neighborhood, not only like current value, the different offer options, et cetera, right? The goal is to get them to plug in month after month. And this is what I want you guys to see. Right, so this is a lead score, right, where this is, and we'll go into a hotter lead score so you guys can see how the system really grades. This actually happens to be a friend of mine. But as you can see, he just kind of plugs in. I know he's not in the market currently to sell his house, although a 61 is a decent lead score, but that's because he's actively looking at it. This is a savvy guy that's plugging in month after month, staying in tune with what's going on in his neighborhood, et cetera. Okay, but this is where I want you guys to see this, right? So this is in the, within the last, I guess this is his duration right here. He's plugged in and looked at, the real value from the different times, a total of 1 minute, et cetera, right? So now we're seeing all of these different things that he plugged into, right? And then of course we could see the times that he received it, opened it, et cetera. Right, so again, these are all amazing tools to where you really want to start potentially reaching out. Like, so if I didn't know, well, I would, even if I do know Greg here, I'm going to call him and just say, hey man, I see that you've been checking out the home report. Hey, reason for the call is I wanted to see how it's treating you, see if you have any questions about anything. And while I've got you, those different cash offer options that are in the middle, if you had a chance to plug into those, because one of them will even let you remodel your house and sell it for top dollar and you get all the profit. Really cool stuff, right? So that I'm going to use that uniqueness of the cash offer to engage them and start a conversation. Okay. One other quick thing here I want to show us for a lot of us SellerSource members that are on here. This is actually a new add-in, and I'm going to be plugging this over and over because this really helps us on our end on the management of the leads that are being distributed. Is, hey, the new lead, attempting contact, et cetera, right? So this is you guys that would go in and be able to change the status of that lead, right? It's under contract, I've set an appointment, it's closed, it's a dead lead, it was a duplicate or bad information, right? So again, just want to let you guys know that that's all right there, a great way for us to be able to stay a little bit more informed of what's going on our end. All right, so let's go into a little bit more of an active lead score here. Now, this is one of mine, so we don't necessarily, here, actually, this will be a good one, right? So this is somebody that came and we are under contract, giving you an idea of the scores and how they work. Okay, so the system, we actually grade this pretty firm, and that's because we didn't want to flood, everybody's inbox per se and notifications with a bunch of things that we don't, that were just busy work, right? So, when people are uploading photos, when the source is they submit it on my landing page, when they're looking at the cash offers for a collective of, 10 minutes or more, they've opened up the report multiple times in 1 month and you only sent it to them once, right? Or one report is open, the same report is opened up multiple times. These are all indicators that's going to elevate that score and trigger you that you need to call and work this lead. Okay, so this is where, again, I want to just invite you guys to give your business that kind of intelligence. Now, this lead score is a baseline feature that we have brought into the Zoodealio ecosystem. So this will work with any of your particular, your clients. And again, just a great opportunity for you guys to be able to do that. And excuse me, this is not this is a part of the home report. So the home report, once you invite them in, it needs all of those analytics to be able to run that. So this is a part of the baseline of the home report. So in the event, just as an FYI, that you're not a part of SellerSource, but you have the home report, you will have all of this business intelligence in your business. Okay. All right, let's plug into this real quick. I want us to get this here. Okay, so when we get into the baseline score, this is a great, I love this, and we're continuing to iterate on this. But essentially what we're doing is we're looking at the available data points of that property. How long has the person owned the property? How high of an interest rate do they have? And there's some other metrics like their age and the size of the property. There's all basically a calculation algorithm that we created that forecasts the score. And like in this particular situation, even though we're under contract on this one, the base score is this actually happens to be an investor. They bought this particular property and they've only owned it for a short amount of time, which is giving it a lower base score. So sometimes when you have somebody that's owned a property for 10 years and they get very active in the home report, well, that's going to increase. And that's because, again, when somebody's owned a house for 10 years, they're more likely to sell and move on, right? I think the average home ownership time right now is running about 7 to 8 years in America. So again, when people have owned their house that duration of time, we as professionals want to be on a heightened alert for who is more ready, right? So if I can get people that have lived in their house for 10 years and they start getting active in my home report, I'm going to know that they're potentially starting to get that itch. Is it time to move up? Is it time to move down? Is it just time for a lateral move and they want to mix it up, right? All different things that we have, or maybe there's a life event that goes on with it too, which is what the SellerSource does, is it will gather that life event and then forecast that as a part of this as well. Okay, other high intention actions, right? This is a really important one, right? These are things like high intention actions means like I adjusted my value. I input my equity. I adjusted the rental of what I'm looking for, right? So these are actual things, actions that they took that the system will capture, and it'll show you. I'll show you here in just a second how you take a look at that. But these are all right there for you, right? So again, I know I've said this is now going to be the third time, but this is business intelligence that's capturing these things for you. The goal of high-end technology today is to give you a cheat code so that you ultimately know who you should focus on, right? If we can get back our time, and I can work with the people that are most likely to do things, dang, and I can do it by just running a few filters and knowing how to operate my system, why in the world would I not do that? Right? That is what, myself and the leadership team have been so after in building in our application is, a product by agents for agents, right? And ultimately, not having to, letting the consumer know fully about it because it's this type of service that they want, right? And so again, just really cool stuff. Okay, so just as an FYI in this, right, so then this particular one, when they accept the offer, that's going to send the score up to a certain component. When they upload photos, that increases the score, et cetera, right? So any of those intentful actions that we can capture from the homeowner, are all things that we need to do. All right, so let's cruise over because I do got a little bit more here for you guys still to take a look at. Okay, so I want to just show you a couple of quick components here. So I can come in here and, let's see who's had a conversation with Z and, who's ultimately adjusted their property, et cetera, right? I don't know how, again, this is just kind of one of my playish accounts, but as you can kind of see here, right, it returned 32 opportunities here for me, right? So these are all opportunities that of different people that have done different things that I'm going to want to start monitoring and paying attention to, right? So I can do that. I can come back over to my client list for me, and I'm really going to want to pay attention to, ultimately, not only, my creation date, and then ultimately also my lead score, right? So now I can kind of come in here and look and see that anything that's really above a 40 or 50 score, they're engaging and they're doing things, right? It doesn't mean that a 40 is not 18 months away, but they're engaged and I need to be able to reach out and service that client and see if there's something that I can do to take them from 18 months away to making them be 6 months away, right? That's just, again, you being smart on your end. And that's exactly what I was leading with in this entire session is the market is primed. People think they're 18 months away or 24 months away, but when we could get their rate, in a low 5, potentially by the end of this year, they may be ready to go, right? So I have to get really clear, what is it that they're trying to achieve? Why did they leave the market? Was it the price or was it the payment on the new house that they couldn't achieve, right? So this is where us as professionals, we have to ask those kinds of questions so I can create the motivation, right? Get really clear on what your clients are wanting to achieve by asking why, not just being an order taker and, oh, this is the price. Oh, this is my price, my purchase price, right? Be fiduciary. Ask why that's important. Why are you looking to achieve that? Tell me more about that, right? Go in discovery again, and you'll be super thankful that you did. Discover more about your clients, build a better relationship, and you'll provide better service. Okay. All right, so I think that's the good cruise through this. Let me actually go back to my slides here. Okay. So kind of, giving us a look on how this works, we discussed those particular things. Okay, I actually did run through all that. I gave you guys a live look. All right, stop my share. Go back. Okay, so I want to give you guys kind of like a peek behind something I typically don't, right? So that you're actually, what we're looking at here is, admin panels. So I'm going to kind of introduce you to those of you that don't know. I know we are holding live webinars every single week on SellerSource. Let me actually do you guys a solid real quick on this. So in the event that you've been hearing about SellerSource, let me kind of just give you a simple scenario, quick little overview of what it is and why it ties into everything that we're going over to today. So number one, you have an audience, right? That's without a doubt the most important piece. You can have the best tool, you can have the best platform, you can be the best, but if you don't have an audience, you don't have clients and prospects to deliver to, it's all for naught, right? You can be the best real estate agent in the entire world, you can be the smartest, the savviest, the most. And if you have no clients, you have no business. So what SellerSource does is really ultimately helps you solve that piece. Who is the audience? Who should I be forecasting to? And so what we've really cracked the code on in this is ultimately identifying the different sources. We then go out and gather that different, let me clear this filter, really kind of give you the ability to see the different components of what's going on and why, right? So we have a bunch of different clients, let's just say, as you'll see right here, that the system is marketing to every single month, right? This is data points that we have gathered, and as you can see right here, right, these are all leads that are triggered inside of our system, and of course, once the system reaches a certain score, it then goes to the real estate agent. Now, why that's so important to you is really understanding a couple of different components. Number one, when you're talking about likely sellers or maybe an absentee owner, maybe a probate, maybe a divorce situation, a move up, a move down, high interest rates, long time ownership, right? Those are all things that are going to come into really a lot of times that likely seller algorithm that we've built. But what happens when that lead is distributed to you, right? They are being marketed to and they're likely. They haven't necessarily requested the cash offer, which makes that piece very unique, because now you have this great audience and it's your job to get in touch with them, to talk to Mr. or Mrs. Smith and, see why they've been plugging in, why they have a score of 70 or, usually 70 or higher by the time it gets distributed to you from that particular channel. But here's the other thing I want you to know. Because of our large scale marketing and going direct to consumer and bringing the different cash offers that we have, they request cash offers from Zoodealio, Zoodealio.com, and those leads are routed instantaneously to you. So these are cash offer request leads that they are looking for that offer. So you're getting a bucket of people that are anywhere from now to the next 24 months, right? Which is that likely audience, as I like to refer to it. But then you also have another bucket of people that are requesting that cash offer that it's delivered to you, right? Those are, prime, obviously hot leads. And this is just, again, a beautiful opportunity for you to be able to connect your business to this. Now, one thing that we get, from a lot of our agent community in this is, hey, can I take my database, my audience, and plug it into the home report? Well, yeah, that's originally what it was designed for, and we just went out with the step further and helped agents solve it by giving you access to clientele that are likely to transact, right? So I'm going to give you guys a little, let me do this little solid here for you. Hopefully you could see this QR code for this page. This link real quick, if for some reason you're not seeing that QR code, pause the video, do yourself a favor. You can check out one of the live webinars. You can scan here and learn more about the webinar. You can see exactly what it is, how it works, what the costs are that are involved, kind of et cetera. If today's been enough for you and you want to check it out, you can actually see right here the costs. Again, this is what we're doing here is really amazing, because one component I actually forgot to just add in for you guys is the hot leads and a lot of those when the seller scores at a certain point, we've actually created ultimately a call center, and they're calling and priming these leads, and we will then finalize that offer. So it's an offer. So those of you that know, there's an offer that's delivered inside of Zoodealio that's a preliminary instant offer, literally instant. But then when a client wants to accept and ultimately work with that offer, it has to go through a finalization process, which takes about 24 hours and anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, depending on the difficulty of underwriting that particular property, right? It's basically an appraisal, an evaluation that goes on so that the buyers are comfortable moving forward. So when any one of these things happen, we will instantly finalize this offer. The lead is then delivered to you, and then as soon as that offer, the finalized offer is delivered to you, it's your job to go present that offer to the homeowner, right? So now you are getting platform, you're getting lead, and you're getting an offer that you can go deliver and potentially create a client instantaneously, right? Again, I can't think of a much better system to be able to that I've ever worked with in the past that gave me literally everything. So just as an FYI, if this is something that you want to be a part of, we do have an application process. There is a one-time fee of $499, which is just kind of around the setup, et cetera. The big thing that we're all going in here after this, because of the call center, because of the management and everything else, is there's a 30% referral fee on the leads that are delivered to you within the SellerSource lead program, okay? So like I said before, there is an application process. The whole goal of what that application process is to make sure that this is a win-win. Can you follow up with the leads at the volume that we need? The volume of leads that we're delivering is really pretty solid. In most markets, it's, again, it's pretty solid. 50 plus in most months is what we've been able to forecast and deliver on, right? And so we've actually been really looking at increasing quality and us doing more of the following up, and maybe not as much quantity. But that's because, again, we want to really follow up with the leads at the level that they need to be, right? So that's why we've unveiled this call center, and we're continuing to really tweak down on the seller score, et cetera. So again, I mean this as really just something, guys, is how are we going to prime our business for Q4, right? Going back to, really, I think everything on this whole piece is what this is about is ultimately closing transactions, right? When you discover clients that want to sell, right, you don't really need to sell. It's about building a relationship, providing value, and providing a service on a need or a want that they have. And that's our goal here at Zoodealio, is to help you uncover those opportunities within the SellerSource program, right? Find those people that want, find those people that need, give them the unique value propositions so that they choose you to work with them. Because at the end of the day, not all agents are created equal, right? Not all tools are created equal. And so when you guys can get back some of your time by knowing who we should focus on, knowing who we should work with, by using my Zoodealio platform, my notifications, running my filters, the best that I can, it's going to help me be not help me. It's going to provide me the business intelligence I need so that I can crush it, bottom line. Now, I do want to throw this out there because I think that this is a really key component to this entire piece. So if you're watching this in live or as a recording, excuse me, this is one of those things where we are really continuing to innovate on this. We're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on it at a really monumental level. And why that's so important is our goal is to create as much sophisticated automation that really are creating, making you be the savvy agent and creating the highest quality opportunities, right? Because I think all of us are super clear our greatest asset is our time, and our goal is to help you be the most efficient with your time. Our goal is to, basically have this be a cornerstone of your business as we continue to grow and scale this through the entire country, right? Our goal is to build our relationships, with you as the agents, that all of this delivers to the homeowner, right? And so when those homeowners are looking for these instant cash offer options, but they're also looking for that local expert, this this program is positioning you as that local expert, right? So now you're walking into a transaction, you're doing a deal, and you're creating a lifetime client. All right, guys. Well, looks like I don't have any other questions. As always, thank you so much for being on here. If you stuck on here with me for the recording this long, please remember to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you are notified every time we drop new episodes, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the market and how to sharpen that saw. Thanks so much. Catch you on the next one.